Hello everyone. So in our previous video, we saw a basic implementation of a hash table. We saw that hash table internally has an array of hash nodes, and we also saw the representation of an hash node which contains key value and a reference to the next hash node. So after creating a basic structure of hash table, in this video we will see that how we can put a key value pair in a hash table, and the strategy which we will be using for collision resolution would be separate chaining. So friends, before we start, in case if you are new to my channel, then please subscribe to my channel so that you never miss any update. So here you can see that in our previous video, we saw a basic structure of hash table where we can create a hash table by providing in a capacity which also signifies the number of buckets in a hash table. So when we will call this line, here you can see the hash table internally uses an array of hash node which we call as buckets, and at the start each hash node at a particular index points to null. So friends, when we try to put a key value pair into the hash table, there are various scenarios which comes into picture. So the one scenario is when we take the key and we pass it to our hash function, then that hash function returns an index. So what we do is we simply go to that index and see that whether the hash node is pointing to null value or to any other node. So in case if it is pointing to null, then we simply insert key value pair in a form of a hash node, and we simply assign that hash node to that particular index. And in case if there are multiple hash nodes already present, then what we do is we first check that whether that key is already present in the sequence of hash nodes or not. And if the key is already present, then we simply update the value. We don't insert a new key value pair. And one more use case is, let's say if there are multiple nodes but the key value pair is not present. So what we do is we simply create the hash node from the key value pair which we want to insert, and we simply insert that hash node at the beginning of the list which is being formed by the hash node at a particular index. So currently you see all the hash node at a particular index is pointing to null. It means that each list which will be getting formed at a particular index starting node is null because there are no key value pair currently in this hash table. And at the start we have this number of buckets, value as 10 because we are providing the capacity to be 10, and currently as there are no elements, so the size is 0. Now let's say if you want to put a integer key and a string value, so here key is 105 and value is John. So at the start here you can see that key is very long and we need to accommodate this key somewhere in this small buckets array, so that when we put this key value pair and when we want to find that key value pair, it should be pretty much fast. So what we do is we simply pass this key to our hash function. So here we will take the example of modular hash function, which will take the key and will simply divide the key by buckets.length or number of buckets, and whatever is the remainder, that would be our index which will be written by this method. So we are using this method as our hash function, which is nothing but the modular hash function. So if we divide 105 by 10, we get the remainder as 5. So that 5 will be returned from this method and will be our bucket index. Now what we do is we simply access the hash node at this bucket index. So we go to the 5th index and we access this hash node. So currently you can see it is pointing to null, so which simply means that there are no hash node at this index, and as this is pointing to null, it will signify that head is pointing to null because at this index we are storing a hash node. So this hash node has next reference which can store other hash nodes, and if there are many hash nodes, then the first hash node is always our head. So this is also what we already discussed when we discussed about the singly linked list, where we normally had a list node with a value and a reference to the next node. So here the only difference with hash node is it has key value pair and a reference to the next hash node. So here you can see currently head is pointing to null, which means at this index there is no hash node. So what we can do is we can increment the size because we can directly put this key value pair here at this point. So first we create the hash node with key as 105, value as John, and when we create a new hash node, the next always points to null. So friends, now what we do is whenever we insert this key value pair or hash node into this buckets array, we can use different strategies. One would be that we can insert this node at the beginning of the list, or we can insert this node at the end of the list, or we can store this node based on some sorting logic such as the ascending order of the keys. So there are various strategies by which we can insert this node. So here we will be simply inserting this node at the beginning of the list. So friends, in our previous videos we have seen that how we can insert a node at the beginning of the list or a singly linked list. So here the concept remains exactly the same. Now here you can see as head is pointing to null. So at the first step what we do is, as we want to insert this node at the beginning of the list, and there could be a possibility that there are already nodes here, as currently there is no nodes, but there could be a possibility that head is pointing to a chain of nodes. So at the first step what we do is we simply assign node next value to head because we want to insert this node at the beginning of the list. So if node next is pointing to head, then only this node will be at the beginning of the list. But currently head is pointing to null, so node next is already pointing to null. And then what we'll do is this hash node which is pointing to the head will break this link and will try to point it to our hash node which we want to insert. So it would look something like this. This null value goes away and this node will be inserted. Now let's say we want to insert a key as 21 and a value as Tom. So the bucket index would be 1 because 21 mod 10 will give remainder as 1. So we simply access the hash node at index 1. We see it is pointing to null. So it is the same case like what we saw here. So we simply increment the size by 1 and then we put the key value pair in the form of hash node. So now here you can see that our hash table has 2 key value pairs, therefore the size is 2. Now let's say we want to insert a key value pair as 31, Sana. So here now this case is when there would be a collision. So how this separate chaining strategy comes into picture, we will see now. If we do 31 mod 10, we get remainder as 1. So our bucket index is 1. So we simply go and access the hash node at index 1. So we see that there is already a hash node at this index. So now here is a collision. So the way we insert this key value pair now is we create the separate chains in a form of list. So that's why we have created this hash node which has a next reference so that chain of nodes can be added with ease. So at the first step what we do is to whichever hash node this index is pointing, that would be our head. So this is the first step. Now what we do is, as we don't know that how many nodes are there and there could be a possibility that this key might exist already in this hash table. So what we do is we start from the head, we compare its key with the key which we want to insert, and if that key is already present, then we simply update its value. We don't add a key value pair in this hash table, we simply update the value. So that case we will see later, but now here you can see head.key is 21 and the key which we want to insert is 31. So therefore they are not equal. So what we do is we move head to its next node because, so let's say if there are 5 nodes, then we need to compare all the 5 nodes key with a key which we want to insert, because we don't want to insert a key which is already there. So we simply move head to its next node by assigning head.next to head. So now here you can see head is pointing to null. It means that this key is not present, and we can safely insert this key value pair at this index at the beginning of the list. And as we are adding this key value pair, we'll increment the size by 1, and then we'll bring head to its first position again. Now we'll create our hash node with this key value pair. So key is 31, value is Sana, and its next is pointing to null. So here now we are inserting this node at the beginning of the list. So what we saw already here. So at the first step what we do is, as we want to insert this node at the beginning of the list, we simply assign the value of head to node next. So that node next currently pointing to null should point to head. So it looks something like this. That now node next is pointing to head. And as node next is pointing to head, now we can safely break this link and we can assign this reference to our newly created node. So it would look something like this. This link will go away, and now there will be a reference to this hash node from this index. So it would look something like this. So here there is a reference from this index to this node which we want to insert, and from this node there is a reference to the list of nodes which were already there. So currently there is only one node, but there could be a chain. So when we rearrange this, it would look something like this. That node is inserted at the beginning of the list, and this node simply shifted by one position. So friends, now here you can see, let's say if you want to insert a key value pair where key is already present. So here we have these 3 nodes. We are trying to insert key value pair where key is 21 and value is Mary. So when we will divide 21 by 10, we get remainder as 1. So our bucket index become 1. So we simply access the hash node at this index, and the first hash node is our head. And if there is a hash node already present, so now our first task is to verify that whether this key is already present in this hash table or not. So the way we do it is we do head.key, which is 31 here. We compare it with our key. So here you can see they are not equal. So what we do is we traverse head to its next node via this reference. So now we again compare head.key. So here you can see it's 21, and our key which we want to insert is also 21. So therefore they are equal. So what we do is, by this check we came to know that key is already present. So we don't have to insert a new key and increase the size. What we do is we simply update the value when we actually put a key value pair. So here instead of Tom, now the value will become Mary. So friends, this was all about this video. In our next video we will see the code for adding this key value pair in a hash table via animation. I hope you must have liked this video. And in case if you are new to my channel, then please subscribe to my channel. Thanks, have a nice day.